Hey. Excuse me. That was weird. Aurelia went checking in. What's up? Happy Wednesday. I am back. I'm back. Haven't seen you since Monday. Hey. What's going on? Man, today has been a beautiful day. It's been a beautiful Wednesday. Look, let's get right into it. I know Instagram is trying to tell me to hang on while some people join, but I gotta be aware of my own time. And so know that you're always welcome to catch the replays. Hey. Know that you're always welcome to watch the replay if you can't hang out with me for the whole time. Today I want to talk about the different book categories. And so I got a whole list right here, and we're just going to go through them. I want to just list them off for you first. And then after that, I want to talk about some of the most popular book categories that's on the market right now in my own experience. And then I want to share some of the books that I've recently published at Win Publications. And so, antiques and collectibles. Did you know that that was a book category? That's cool. Architecture, art, Bibles, biographies and autobiographies, business and economics, comics and graphic novels, cooking, computers, craft and hobbies, design, drama, education, family and relationships, fiction, foreign language and study, games and activity, gardening, health and fitness, history, house and home, humor, juvenile nonfiction, juvenile fiction, language arts and disciplines, law, literary collections, literary criticisms, mathematics, medical, music, nature, non-classifiable, body, mind, and spirit, performing arts, pets, philosophy, photography, poetry, political science, psychology, reference, religion, science, self-help, social science, sports and recreation, study aid, technology and engineering, transportation, true crime, travel, young adult fiction, and young adult nonfiction. That's just a few. I think I named maybe 54, 55. I do not know. But pretty much, if you have an idea for a story, there might be a category for it. Chances are there's somewhere, there's a market for it. I have not come across a writer who has written or who has a story idea that does not fit in one of the categories that I just listed. If you have a green thumb, let's write you a book. If you are, let's say you work at a restaurant as a bartender, let's get you a book, baby. I'm sure it could fit in somewhere right there with cooking. Maybe it's not classifiable, but I do know one of my favorite gifts that I ever got was it wasn't a cookbook. It was like a drink book. I do not have it, but it was one of my favorite gifts on whiskey. I'm a whiskey kind of a girl. I love whiskey. And so chances are, if you have an idea for a book, it can be done. It's possible, right? And one of the things that I shared last time, or even earlier on, I don't know if it was this week or last week, where I was sharing with you, it might have just been an Instagram post where I said, a lot of times the self-publishing industry, the book publishing industry, independent writers, independent authors, suffer for lack of knowledge. I mean, the people that I come across will say, oh, really, I have an idea for a book, but it's super unique. Have you ever heard of anything like it? No, you're right. It's super unique. But is there a market for it? Chances are there is. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Really, are you going to write the book, or are you going to keep pulling my leg and keep teasing me and telling me that you're going to write this book? Because at this point, June 29th at 7:05 6 p.m., we're done. We're done talking about what we're going to do. We are just going to do it. And then we're going to show up every time, every day to do what we need to do until we reach the finish line, right? You know, over the course of, I don't know, the last 4 weeks or so, maybe even longer than that, literally probably longer than that, because this is something that I've been doing for a while, but I want to say just in the last month, it's really been hitting home for me, and that's just training and increasing my knowledge, even if it's about a subject that I already know. I already know about book publishing contracts, but guess what? I took a training earlier today on book publishing contracts, because maybe I need to spruce mine up a little bit, because maybe I'm missing something, right? What am I saying? I'm saying you need to do the same. If you want to be a writer, if you want to publish a book, you are not doing yourself any service, any good, from not studying the industry, from not studying your craft, from not knowing that there's different book categories out there that you can explore. Granted, some of these are more popular than others. For example, and they don't even, it's not even, I don't even see it on this list, and it might not even be classified that way, but it might be classified as juvenile fiction and nonfiction. So I'm assuming that that's children's fiction and nonfiction, children's books. But children's books, did you know that children's books sell all year round? Make good money. Okay. And so if you're like, what kind of book should I write that's easy and can get done? If you have a good illustrator that you have a great relationship with, that you can talk to and that you can communicate with and explain what your vision is, a children's book is great. Poetry is great. Poetry was not on here, but poetry is, oh yeah, it was. I'm lying. Poetry is on here. Poetry is another great area to tap into, because it's super niche. And I don't know where you live, but it doesn't matter how big or small. Okay, I'm lying. I've never really lived in like a super, super small town, but I can assume that there's always somewhere to go where they're doing poetry slams or poetry readings. Or did you know that this app, whether you're on your phone watching the replay or whether you're here with me on Instagram Live, did you know that you can just turn on your app, YouTube, Instagram Live, TikTok, whatever, and start recording? Did you know that you don't have to wait for opportunities to put yourself out there, to put your book out there, to do what you want to do? If you want to recite your poem or your poems, do that. Like, you can just do that. Like, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for an opportunity to show up and do what it is that you want to do. You can just do it. You can just do it. Right? And so if you were waiting for permission, this is your permission. Just do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. And know that if you want to write a book that might not be as popularly talked about or whatever, it can be done. Okay? Like right now I'm working with a pilot who has a book that they want to be interactive for the students that they teach. Where would that fit in? Let's look. Probably, I want to say education. Yeah, probably education. Probably, I want to say computers, but maybe not. Study aids for sure. Technology, probably. Travel, I don't know. I don't think so. But I'm just saying there are, and that's the thing, right? So check this out. So even if you do write a book, it can probably fit in more than one category. It can probably go in more than one category. Especially like, for example, there are some people who write poetry books and they include art in it. So you could categorize your book as poetry. It could also be categorized as art. And so that's something to think about, is just, know what's out there, know what you can do. And I don't even want to say know what you can't do, because you could do anything, right? You just have to figure out how do you position it to sell it, and reach your readers. And by lining yourself up with a specific genre or a category, that's going to help you. That's going to help you, right? Even though even though I say right now, think later, you have to ask yourself, like, okay, but like, what am I writing? What am I writing? And people always want to tell their life story. People always want to write autobiographies or want to talk about like how they've overcome things. And that's great. But like, who are you? Are you already somebody that's active in your community? Are you already somebody that is like a community leader? To where your life story could really be powerful and impact and influence someone's life. I'm not saying that if you're not that, then you shouldn't do it. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to do that, you need to speak up. You need to speak up. Like, we need to know who you are, right? Because let's say that you decide, hey, let's say that you decide you're going to publish a memoir or an autobiography, and, you know, you're, for lack of a better word, not widely known. So then what are you going to do? Is your book going to be a tool for you to become someone who is widely known? Or like, what's going to be your game plan? And these are questions that I ask in one of my most recent books called the Self-Publishing Roadmap. In the Self-Publishing Roadmap, I ask you these hard questions like, okay, if you're going to write this book, then what? Right. And one of the first chapters, actually it is the first chapter, I go into the fact that, listen, when it comes to selling books, it's not just about the book itself, but it's also about you, the author. It's also about you, the writer, and the level of influence and the level of impact that you have on your community. If you're not making an impact, or if you don't have an influence, it's going to be hard to make an income, right? And so you have to add value with your book. You have to be adding value to somebody's life other than your own, other than your family's life. You have to be adding value to other people's lives and influencing other people in order to see an income come. If you're not sending out a frequency of something valuable, if you're not adding to somebody's life in some kind of way, whether it's you're using your book as a tool to add credentials or whatever, but if you're not turning up the message on whatever it is that's in your book, then what? Then it's like, then what are we doing? Then what are we doing, right? And so this was even something that I had to ask myself, like, this year I've written maybe 4 or 5 books, and I put them out there, and I'm just like twiddling my thumbs, like, hang on, wait a minute. Like, I gotta speak up. Like, I gotta tell you what's in these books. And I'm just putting myself out there because I'm someone who believes in leading by example. And so I'm just going to keep it all the way 100 with you. In the past, I was someone who just would write books, put them out, write books, put them out, write books, put them out, and then talk about it once, and then that's it. We can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that anymore. And so I'm just saying, know the different book categories. We went through about 50 plus. We went through about 50 plus book categories. Those are just the names. If you're interested in finding out how to write a book about traveling, head to webookstoreonline.com and check out this book called, I believe it's called Black Trekking. And one of the authors, she went and visited different Latin countries as a Black woman. And so that was amazing, right? And this is why people say if you're going to be an excellent writer, you need to be an excellent reader as well. If you're going to write in a specific genre, it probably would do you really good to read that genre, to pay attention to things like the way that it's laid out, the way that it's designed, okay? The way that they use, what words do they use, what jargon do they use? Read and 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 submerge yourself in that genre. So that way when it comes time for you to write, you can just write and you can think about it later. Okay? And that's going to help you, right? Because I say this, I say, hey, write now, think later. Oh, really, I can't. Like, I get stuck and blah, blah. Maybe it's because you're not 100% confident Maybe it's because you're not 100% sure. And if that's the case, I would say pause. Pause where you're at, pencil down, stop typing, save it, upload it to your Google Drive, whatever, save it somewhere else other than your computer, because trust me, your girl has lost work like that, saving it on my computer, not backing it up to the cloud. But pause, right? Pause on it, come back to it later. I want you to take a week or so to read some books that are in your genre and really read them once for the story, and then go back through it and like highlight some stuff. Look at how the headers are. Look at how the footers are. Look at how the pages are numbered. Look at how it's laid out. Look at the different spacing. Maybe you don't have to do all that. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just what I like to do. But what I'm saying is, okay, let's say you're not that into like the design of the book. Let's say you're more so concerned about the content of the book. Well, look at check it out. What did they include? Right? In cookbooks, it's simple. You got to include the ingredients. You can include the nutrition facts. You can include the serving amount. You should include the directions. You can include pictures. You can include the different tools that you should use when it comes to cooking. Like, what size pan do I need to make this cake? Like, okay, really, like, what size pan do I need? Or like what, I don't know, what kind of mixer. I'm just saying, like, look at the bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture, especially if you're having a writer's block. And so I want to share that with you. Another one of the categories that really stuck out to me, especially right now because my daughter wants a pet, is there's a place to write there's a place to write books about pets. And so if you're a pet owner, you need a book. You need to write a book about your dog or your cat or your mouse, your rat, your guinea pig, your pig, your horse, whatever, your cows, right? You should write a book about your pets. Let's say you're someone who's super into music. You can write a book about music. Did you know that? Okay, did you know that? You can write a book about music. This is exciting. This is wonderful news. There's so many genres. There's so many categories. The next step is just picking one. Pick one. Pick one that resonates with you. Pick one that is a part of your interest and write the book. If you have trouble with writing it, read some books that are in the category, and then get back to writing. And don't tell me until your book is done. And then I want you to hit me up. I want you to email me at info@misswin.com, MISSWINN.com, and let me know how I can help you. And I will. And so that's all I have for tonight. Is I wanted to make you aware of the different categories. Let me go through them again. Antique and collectibles, architecture, art, Bibles, biography and autobiographies, business and economics, comics and graphic novels, cooking, computers, craft and hobbies, design, drama, education, family and relationships, fiction, foreign language study, games and activities, gardening, health and fitness, history, house and home, humor, juvenile fiction, juvenile nonfiction, language, arts and discipline, law, literary collections, literary criticism, mathematics, medical, music, nature, non-classifiable, body, mind, spirit, performing arts, pets, philosophy, photography, which would be dope to see a photography book come across my path. I would love it. Poetry, political science, psychology, reference books, which is an area that I've been writing in, is in reference books for authors, religion, science, self-help, social science, sports and recreation, study aids, technology and engineering, transportation, true crime, travel, young adult fiction, and young adult nonfiction. And so There it is. There's no more excuses. There's no more excuses moving forward. And honestly, if you're going to tell me that, oh, Aurelia, this market is too saturated, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Get out of here. Stop it. Okay. Do you know how many books? Do you know how many versions of the Bible they have available at Books A Million right now? Tons. Do you know how many poetry books they have available right now at Barnes and Nobles? Tons of them. Okay? Do you know how many autobiographies and memoirs they have of people sharing about their past addictions and their recovery stories, or their past traumas and their recovery stories? Tons of them. The market is missing you. The market is missing a you, baby. Don't do that. Don't create obstacles for yourself, right? You know, another thing that I said, and I always say this, is publishing a book is, what is it? It is 20% know-how and 80% mindset. And if you have the mindset of lack and limitation, if you have the mindset of someone who can always come up with a problem for every solution, you have to start there. You have to get your mind right first. And that's just the honest truth. If I don't tell you, who's going to tell you? Who's going to tell you? Right? You need to get people in your corner that can say, hey, it's okay. We can overcome these obstacles together through knowledge, through education. Sometimes, yeah, it's hard to change your mind when you just don't know that there's other options. For me, recently, I didn't know. I'm going to put these up here. I didn't know that you could learn from fear. And that was something that I had to learn recently, was like, I was afraid of a certain situation happening, and guess what? It happened. Okay. And I had to face that fear, and I had to overcome it. But fear can teach you so much. Like, sometimes we're afraid of being embarrassed. Sometimes we're afraid of our insecurities showing. And why do we care so much? You know, why do we care what other people think? What does what other people think about us say about us? You know what I mean? And that's something that takes some deep personal work. You know, my friends would say that takes a little shadow work, baby girl, baby boy. You know? And it's okay. It's okay to do that work. It's okay to work on ourselves, because what I found is that when I feel good about myself, I do so much better in every area of my life. Just within the last week, I've grown so much. I feel so good. I feel so good about Aurelia. I feel so good about Miss Wynn. And I hope that it shows. I hope that you're able to see that. And if you don't see it today, I hope that you see it along the way. I hope that you keep rocking with your girl. And so that's all. That's all I have for you tonight. I will be back on tomorrow. Listen, we got about 3. Let's see, I'll be back on Thursday, and then I'll be back on Friday. And then I am going to be in my Facebook group. If you're not a part of my Facebook group and you're someone who's interested in writing a book, it's free. Click the link in my bio and join us. I will be taking my lives there. Because that's absolutely a group of people who are interested in writing, and they're interested in getting their books published. Not that people on Instagram are not interested. It's just that there's levels to this, right? And so I'll still be sharing the highlights from the group, and I will still be sharing the replays on YouTube. And so you can tap in there, whatever works for you. I know it could be a lot trying to keep up with people on these different platforms, but one of my goals that I set for myself was to try and be as omnipresent as possible, which for me means being on different platforms and reaching different writers and readers where they are. And so that's why I do that. But like I said, I'll be back here tomorrow night, and I'll be back here Friday night with more information about some of these different categories that we went through. And maybe I'll give you the top 5, and we can go through those tomorrow. And just keep learning and growing together. But that's all I have for tonight. I do have another meeting here shortly. And so good night. I'm going to go ahead and post this replay, and I will see you all tomorrow night. Okay.